Go.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming. My name is Holly Sly, and I chose to do this demonstration speech on how to conduct a psychological research project. The reason why I chose to do this is because as a psychology major, I'm very interested in research, and I have conducted several research experiments in the past couple of years, so I kind of understood how to do it already. Okay. There are 6 steps that I'm going to show you today on how to do this. They're summarized and condensed into the most easiest form. The first step is to identify the problem and formulate your objectives. This means that you need to first decide and choose a topic. This topic cannot be too broad, nor can it be too narrow. For example, if you were choosing to do test scores as a research topic, that would be too broad. Whereas choosing to do electronic test scores versus written test scores in white 18-year-old males would be way too narrow. A better topic would be written versus electronic test scores within college-age students. After that, you need to review the literature. This is really important because you can get an idea of what has and has not been done yet, and it helps you know what limitations you might come across in your own study. After that, you do need to produce a research question. This can either be a precise hypothesis or more of a general question. After you're done with this step, you move on to step 2. This is the development of the methodology that you're going to use. Part of this is to make observations and under what circumstances you're going to use. So if you're going to have a really controlled environment, you need to decide that, or if you're just going to let it be a natural observation study, you need to decide that as well. After that, you also need to decide how you're going to record these observations. Are you going to have a recorded interview? Are you going to have test scores that are timed? Or are you going to do some other kind of survey or test questions that are just going to be compounded? You will also have to decide what statistical methods will be used and what participants will be tested. The last item is really important because you need to decide if these participants are going to be selected on a random selection, or if you're just going to go to a specific group of people and choose people from that group. The third step is the actual observation of this. Before you actually start the procedure, you're going to have to go through the IRB, which is the Institutional Review Board, and you will have to get their approval to make sure that everything is humane. After you are done with this process, you are then going to carry out the procedure and observe the behaviors of the participants. If you are using human subjects, though, you are going to want to get an informed consent form, which means that the participants are fully aware of any dangers, both physical, mental, or otherwise emotional harm that could be brought on through doing an experiment. After that, you do need to make the observations and record them in an appropriate manner. The fourth step is to analyze your data. This means that you take, whether it be your test scores or your interviews or however you use to record your data, you need to take it and apply it in a statistical method, and you transform it into like numerical data. So for example, if you were just using the components of sex, instead of saying male and female, you would use the numbers 1 and 2. You would then determine the significance of these observations and move on to step 5, which is the interpretation of this data. You are going to see how this information helps answer 2 main questions. One of the questions is, how does this data answer the research question that you had originally chosen, and how does this answer help contribute to the field? Sometimes you might come across the fact that it helps prove your theory, or it can falsify your theory. However, both of these are equally important because then it helps contribute to the knowledge of the field in general to help know what works and what doesn't. This will help come up with new observations in the future that other people may have and want to look into. The final step is the presentation of the data. Within this, you are going to seek to present to the public somehow what you have found, whether it be falsifiable information or information to confirm your hypothesis. You can do this several ways. One of the ways that is done in the psychology field is by publishing to a journal article. Another way that is very common is presenting in classes or meetings or conferences, such as if I was to go to the Ohio Psychology Conference, there would be a place where I could do posters and stuff to show my data that I've collected. And another way would be if you were to write a book or contribute to another person's book, they could use your data. That's actually all that I have for you today, so thank you guys so much for listening, and I really appreciate it.